And we're back, although I need to get the map up because I forgot to throw it on this one. Oops. God damn it. Stop it. Stop it! I did not properly ready the scene. I didn't properly ready the scene!
And scene.
Alright, there we go. So,
I want to go to this place.
Gulran, you are... you actually, I think, visited there in a previous campaign.
Really?
Yeah, that is the place where it's like Tron, but in magical form.
Why do I not remember that?
I don't know. It stuck really well in my head, but I don't remember anybody else remembering it, so...
I think I need like 2 pieces of information for me to be able to remember the entire thing.
When you guys get outside, Gulran, you will be waiting out there, as you weren't allowed to participate in the questioning, because these are subjects that are directly involved in a case that relates to you. You do find out, however, that the boss is going to be locked away for a couple of days. You did succeed in getting punishment levied against him.
That'll teach him.
However, you'll know that his crime is pretty minor, and he'll be out in due time.
I wasn't locked away.
Yeah, that's only because you are using your legal authority.
You got the connections.
You're asserting your privilege.
Good.
You dwarf privilegism.
Actually,
these motherfuckers never approach me again.
I keep having to double check your alignment because for some reason I keep thinking you're lawful, and then I keep double checking your sheet. And I'm like, nope, he's chaotic. Never mind. Still in line. Just, I'm being a little bit racist and assuming that dwarves are lawful, and so you would play lawful.
How dare you?
All right, so the 4 of you find each other outside. Just outside of the... bring it back over here. Just outside of the Knightsbridge Barracks.
Oh, hi, Goron. How's it going, buddy?
Oh, wait, I know he was, sentenced or locked up for a bit, the boss guy?
You know he will be. He has not yet been. They have to finish up the questioning.
I was going to say, it doesn't even sound like that they had let him know that either yet.
He doesn't know it either.
I am doing great because justice has been served. I feel amazing.
Great.
Teach these extortionist goblins.
Well...
That's literally all you got them on, was that they were attempting to extort you.
Good. Illegal matters must be always reported, remember that.
Have you mentioned you're breaking and entering to them yet?
Oh, that was dealt with. I'm absolved of such. I was attempting to solve a crime. What were they doing? Just causing trouble.
Usual sentence for that.
The usual sentence would at least be a few days. The person who was broken into would be notified, and potentially there would be a fine. And that's like minimum sentencing requirements.
Does Nico... So Nico's going to know all of this?
No, because Maha worked her magic to make sure. Like, this is a new ministry participant, like a new ministry trainee. So she takes a lot of flack when stuff like this happens.
Okay.
Don't tell anyone, but Maha has the hots for me, I think. She covered for me.
I think
sure, buddy.
Acting that way, she's
I'm a charming dwarf.
For long.
All right, where are we in our investigation? Are we done?
You're about as charming as I am, bud.
Don't insult
You're also
me.
a spellcaster?
What? Spellcaster? Yes.
Look at Deus. Because you charm. You do charms. You're charming, right? So you're a spellcaster.
That must be what you're talking about, correct?
Antaeus, human humor always is a mystery to me. All right, instead of investigating me, have we come up with anything in our current investigation?
Well, the thing is, so we spoke to the goblins. None of them...
And Teus is an elf.
Oh. You elven bastard. You look too human. Make up your mind.
Arabs called an elf a bastard.
I probably have elven ears.
You do?
Couldn't see all the way up there. They're too tall.
I am dressed in unusual attire for an elf, though. I think
All right, that's what.
not
they're
around
on.
here, but
So, yeah, we didn't really get much more, I should say, from the goblins. The Moomy wasn't there whenever the break-in, the original break-in was going on. Jumi was out of his mind. And you might think he's withdrawing, but then, like, I guess Elizabeth started seeing stuff, so I think he's, like, Baru out of his mind.
seeing stuff like what?
I don't believe she elaborated. Did you elaborate, Elizabeth? No?
You care to elaborate? This may be pertinent information. No.
Yeah, I don't think it's pertinent. That goblin's just like fucking hallucinating or something. I don't know. It needs help.
Goran,
What did you see? Why can't you just tell us?
let's put it this way. She ran out of the room, and it was just Antaeus and I left to interrogate because whatever she saw was enough to seriously, shake her.
This sounds very important. Why can't you tell us what you saw?
I mean, people don't usually believe me when I tell them what I see, so I have a feeling that goblin's out of his mind, like Baru out of his mind, like is got some, I don't know.
I have no reason to doubt you, and I'll tap her on the shoulder and cast Touch of Truth Telling. Now tell us what you saw.
The fuck?
That has a verbal component, so you will have to say a lot of stuff that sounds very divinatory before you do that.
Well, like it was kind of like a joke. Like I'm saying I believe you, but I'm making her tell the truth. So it's like I don't really believe you what you're saying. But yeah, like I don't care if she knows I'm casting a spell.
Okay. So it seems like if you have any spellcraft, you can attempt to identify what he's casting. But it sounds like he's like saying a short blessing right next to you. But you recognize that it is not a blessing. You notice that he's like holding he's got like his hand clenched to his holy symbol as he says this prayer, and you recognize that this is a touch of truth telling. Same to
Would
Would I have
Mateus.
enough time to like attempt like a CMB just to like make his hands not be
Yeah,
like,
in this
he's,
particular
like-
case, if you don't want him to touch you, I need an attack roll from Ghoulrun.
Yeah,
That's
that's looking
bad
attached
touch.
me, big boy. No spells casting over here.
Does a 13 beat your touch AC?
God damn it, yeah.
Then yeah, he'll like still manage to get you on the shoulder as you're like a little too slow to pull your shoulder away.
This is just a little humor of mine. It's just so you can tell the truth and we believe you. But I
Can't
can
speak.
dismiss it if you want.
Where are we
Intentional
standing?
lies.
I'm going to suggest that we go somewhere a little more private, such as
Says you're allowed to
I
say.
can't remember.
Hey lady! Hey lady! You think I'm attractive?
Is this the leader?
No, this is
Can I
a
dismiss
random.
this
There's like a random pair of guys that's walking by. Give me a perception, actually. I want to see who saw what happened.
Actually,
Okay. So Antaeus, like you happen, like as he's doing this, you happen to glance over at these two guys that are walking by, and one of them kind of like looks over and then leans in and whispers to his buddy something, and that's when his buddy comes walking over.
how attractive do they look?
Like pretty average. They're pretty average looking people.
Okay, so like on a scale from like 1 to 18, around a 10-ish.
Yeah, like a 9 or a 10-ish. Hey, come on. What do you think? Huh?
Trying to figure out the spell because it does say
No,
something.
sorry. I think it's like the actual spell says works like Zone of Truth. I think
It
it's
is like
copied text of Zone.
like Zone of Truth.
But you don't enter any area because I just touched you. I didn't make an area.
Correct.
So I think that's Zone of Truth.
But it says each potential affected creature is allowed to save to avoid the effects.
It's Zone of Truth. It's,
Okay, but so it would be a save if it was actually.
Hold on
Zone
a
of
second.
Truth?
I do need
Yeah,
to double check
I think
this.
so.
Okay, I was just confused because that where it's like saying like each gets a save, yet there's no save put in here, so I was just.
Because
Yeah, you do
Zone
get a
of Truth
save.
an
It is
area.
as Zone of Truth, so you do get a will save as well. Yeah.
Ooh.
You do not have to tell the truth. But this guy still wants an answer.
I'm gonna tell him to mind his own business and stop listening to our conversation.
What do you mean? I wasn't listening.
Well, you would have had to have been to be commenting on what we're talking about.
No, I'm asking how if she thinks I'm attractive.
She doesn't get a save.
Look, my friend bet me. Huh? It says except is noted above. It doesn't say anywhere that you don't get a save. No, that's not what that means. That means the things above replace the things that get replaced. It doesn't wipe those things away. If it just wiped everything away, there's more stuff that gets removed from that. There's no duration on it. Do you notice how the duration would also disappear? That's not how that works. Okay. Otherwise, the spell wouldn't activate at all. It would just be like, yep, I touched you, and for that moment that I was touching you, you have to tell the truth.
Nope, they have to tell the truth always and forever.
No, because then it would have to be replaced with instantaneous.
Ah, yes.
So what's my DC on this? 16.
Your DC on this would be whatever a first level spell save DC would be.
Yeah, 16.
Yeah. It definitely would not have been 26.
So Brianna is glaring at Goron, and she's like, "Dude, that is not cool. You don't just cast stuff on people without their consent."
What was this guy saying? My friend bet me something?
Yeah, he was saying basically his friend bet him that if he went over there that she would tell him that he's like not even average looking at best. And so he came up and he's asking like, what do you think? Expecting you to say something like polite, because he was like, no, people don't do things like that. They're polite.
No, you look like an average human. I'm assuming he's human, right?
Yeah. He like looks at you. I'm not asking for your opinion. Asking for hers. He said specifically her.
Does his face seem symmetrical?
Ish.
I'll just be like, you're fine looking, dude, but I'm not interested. I'm busy here.
Fuck, I lost this. And the two of them walk off, and he takes a couple of coins out of his pocket and hands it to his friend. His buddy made the spellcraft.
Yeah, not eavesdropping those lines sexy.
One of them was, one of them wasn't. One of them was genuinely paying attention to their own shit. Anyway, carry on.
So, anyway, Elizabeth, can you describe what you saw? Just, I don't think any of us have any reason to disbelieve you. And she'll kind of like glare at Goron a little bit, like, can you at least just tell us what you saw?
I don't know why you're all so fucking concerned about what I saw, but if you must know, they were
I'm going to recommend that we go to a more secure place.
You don't want to do it right here in the street?
Like Brianna's house or something like that, wherever we were before. Because I don't know if I want to have this conversation in the ministry building.
Well, you're just outside of the barracks, so.
Or there. Or on the streets in any scenario.
All right. So yeah, you guys can, if you guys want, you can head to Brianna's or have the conversation here on the street. Your choice.
I mean,
Brianna's... I like the idea of street conversation. There's lots of passerbys.
Exactly. Her place seems more safe than being there where we're probably being washed over anyways.
So Brianna's like, let's just go to my house. I'll make some tea.
Okay. When you get to the inn where you're staying, there is a note for you.
All right.
Some guy came by and left this for you. I don't. He didn't give me any details. He folded it up and asked me not to open it. And I'm not a rude person.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you holding on to this for me. And Brianna, would 5 silver be a good tip? Like, I don't know.
That would be a huge tip.
Okay, so Brianna.
To put this, actually, I realized there's a pretty easy way to think about this. The average silver piece is roughly equivalent to $2. So you'd be giving him a $10 tip for him handing you like a bit of information. If you compare items to what silver is in game, it's roughly $2 a coin.
Okay, how about I give him 2 silver then?
Okay.
So I give him a 2 silver tip, and I'll say thank you very much for holding on to that for me.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
All right. I would want to go into my room before I read the note or anything.
Yeah. You guys head up to Brianna's room. And yeah, you can continue discussions. And Brianna, I don't know if you want to wait to read the message until they left, or.
Well, I probably would put like a tea kettle on or something. And then I would just read the note. Maybe to myself, just to see if it was like something related to the case or whatever.
Okay, you couldn't put a tea kettle on. You could ask, while you were downstairs, you could ask the guy downstairs to bring up some hot water. But okay. you would not. You don't have an actual stove here in your room. You're staying in an inn room right now. It's the best you can afford, and they're kind of giving it to you as part of your occasional performances.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if it was like one of those rooms, kind of like the extended stay hotels.
No, this is more basic. You do have access to a restroom here, which is a bit of a nicety. It's one of the benefits you get to being in an inn, but no kitchen area. It's not quite that upscale a place.
Okay, so I would have then asked them to bring up some maybe a pot of tea or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, he can bring up a pot of water, and you can brew the tea yourself if you'd prefer to do it that way.
Okay. All right, so that's what I do.
Okay.
And so while we're waiting, I'm like, make yourselves comfortable. I just want to read this really fast, see what it's about.
Okay. It is a note from Tehran. He is sad to see that you are not here performing this evening. That he'd like to be able to see you again, and that hopefully it can be sooner than later. And he lets you know you're welcome by anytime. Just knock 4 times. What was that about over there?
So Brianna will sort of smile and just sort of set the note to the side. Just say, oh, it was something personal, and then proceed to discuss things with her friends.
What is that face about? There needs to be some comments with this. Elizabeth would not be keeping her mouth shut, I feel like, in this.
I don't know what the note said.
You're not even going to try to gauge what the note said.
I guess maybe, because she is trying to take the attention off of her right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn.
Nope. That must have been a pretty bad note. Maybe somebody in her family died.
And I'm laughing about it.
Yeah, that's concerning.
All right, well, there's a reason you're here, right?
Right. So we're trying to get some information at this point from Elizabeth, like, what did she see?
What does this have to do with our case? The goblin didn't know anything.
I'm concerned, Elizabeth,
What are you concerned about? I'm fine.
Usually when you say you're fine, you're not.
Brianna, go eat some bread.
I don't have any bread. I would like to know at least what you saw.
I mean, I don't understand what this has anything to do with the case we're trying to solve right now, but if you have to know, What did they look like again? Like
They were like little kind of whitish tinted gremlins with little like kind of spiky out ears poking off of their head and like fur all over their bodies. And there's like little auras of kind of cold air coming off of them.
Yeah, I got that. That's why he was cold, was because of these things. All right, so she'll say, look, it looked like I saw like a couple little fuzzy white gremlins like buzzing around his head and whispering in his ears. It was weird, okay?
So, what knowledge is that, Steve?
That is knowledge. You don't have it.
Oh, I have all knowledge as if they were untrained, or as if they were trained.
That is true.
I mean, granted, I wouldn't have as big of a bonus
Just
to it.
give me a d20 roll plus your int. Plus, I think 2 is what your thing gives you, right?
My knowledge?
Your feat. Did you take that feat, the Breath of Experience one? I thought that gave you...
Yeah. Breath of well, it works with other things that I have. Breath of Experience, plus 2 knowledge roll on skill checks, and you can make these knowledge and profession skill checks. You can make them the skills untrained.
Okay.
And then I have other things too. Where's it at? Because my perfect recall allows me to add my knowledge twice.
I thought you had to take a cognitogen in order for that to happen.
It's making it not. At second level, a mind chemist has honed his memory. When making a knowledge check, he may add his intelligence bonus with a check the second time.
Okay.
Thus, a mind chemist with 5 ranks and has a +2 intelligence gets 5 +2 +2.
Okay.
Can also use this ability when making an intelligence check to remember something.
Okay. So yeah, give me double your intel +2.
Yeah, so that's my +10.
Okay. So you're thinking on this, and you've sort of heard about something like this before. Normally, these are the kinds of things that people get locked away for. Seeing like creatures that aren't there, like no one's ever. Gremlins are like one of those things that don't really exist. It's like a term that like kids use when they're talking about like, you know, these pretend kind of fae-esque creatures, but they have like these features that aren't real to what exists.
But they are otherworldly or inhuman monster, or inhuman or otherworldly.
They don't
monsters.
exist. Like gremlins are a made-up term. A gremlin is very specifically like the idea of, what if we took like monsters and then pasted them into fae, and that's what we get our gremlins. You know, they took some of like their least favorite parts of fae, the least favorite parts of some monsters, and different people have different gremlins they talk about, but they're no more real than Santa Claus.
But they're like fairy tales, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I was just curious because I do have languages spoken by evil fae and otherworldly monsters, so I was like, well, I know those exist, so yeah,
but in this particular case, like gremlins is a term. No one has ever actually like seen a gremlin, or when people are memory prodded, no one sees gremlins in their memory. No matter how much people talk about gremlins, they're not really a thing. It's like kind of the generic word for boogeyman, except that boogeymen are kind of real, but gremlins are not.
Or like the generic word for demon.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say
like using demon is the generic word for everything.
Yeah.
Would it be possible that maybe they really did see something, but that whenever they like look in on those memories, the person looking in doesn't see it? Is that?
It's hard to say. I mean, that kind of comes down to your personal perspective. Is what Elizabeth is seeing real, or is it just that she has some sort of contagion that she feels, or like some sort of over empathy disorder that she feels what the other person can see?
Oh, I 100% believe her. Like, there's no reason for me not to. I know about like extra planar things that exist and stuff. So I don't see why it would be out of the realm of possibility.
Brianna tends to believe her as well because, just of everything we saw in the sewers and that whole incident, like, she realizes there's things going on.
How about Ghoulron? How does Ghoulron feel?
Do I know she resisted my spell?
From earlier, yeah. It would have ended anyway.
Oh, it's only 2 minutes.
Yeah, and that it takes longer than that to get to Brianna's.
Oh. Then I guess I would just do this.
That's up to you. This is like an up to you kind of thing. Especially with a 10.
I mean, I don't have any reason to think she's lying, so...
No. But I mean, if you talk to somebody who genuinely has, like, who hears voices, you have no way to definitively prove that whether they do or don't hear voices. You kind of decide for yourself whether or not you believe that that is a psychological issue versus whether it is, like, a different kind of psychological issue.
Yeah, I think Ghoulron just accepts it, but is not sure if it's, like, real or not.
Okay.
He believes that she believes she saw something?
Yeah, basically, yeah, like that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'll start talking about all kinds of like fae and planar things that I know about, and just kind of like, oh yeah, these things, this, that, and magic and all that fun stuff. I mean, I don't see why. I don't know much about these gremlins, but I don't see why they couldn't exist.
Well, the gremlins, I'm pretty sure, are making him paranoid, and they were giving off like a cold aura. I think that's why he was cold.
That would possibly also explain, if you could see them, would I have seen his eyes darting around, or yeah, why his eyes were darting around from place to place.
Oh, did we remember to tell our boss that, like, to watch him, that we think that he may have the same affliction Baru did?
Maha wasn't there at the time. You guys were in the barracks.
Okay.
You guys would have had to have gone over to the ministry building in order to let them know.
Would it be somewhat simple to get like a message over to her? Like maybe have someone deliver a message or something?
Yeah, you probably could. You could go downstairs and have the innkeeper have somebody send a message over.
Okay. I want to go downstairs and see about our pot of boiling water, and then maybe also send that message, because given his state of mind, then I feel like Maha needs to know.
Alright, so Brianna leaves the room. Got 3 people in it. How many people are Snoops?
She just didn't say anything and left?
I mean, I would have
she would have
told
been
you...
like, I'm gonna go get the water. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get the water and send a message.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Brianna does not care about her place. She's like, whatever.
Okay.
I mean, I already looked around last time I was here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't need to snoop, I don't think.
Okay.
I mean, unless anything else is like visibly changed.
I mean, there's a note that she left behind on the table.
Oh, that
Yeah,
note.
No.
But yeah, eventually Brianna will make her way back.
Alright, guys. Got the message sent, and got us some water. We'll have tea shortly.
Okay. Go.
So I don't know. We're hitting sort of a dead end on this case, I feel like. Although it really, really, I know that there's a tendency, if we just worked on something, to think that maybe it's related to the next thing we work on, but there's a lot of similarities, I think, to this case and the one with the missing children.
It doesn't happen to have any similarities to any other cases that I may or may not know about, though, I'm assuming, Steve.
Didn't you do research in the library earlier? Or in the...
I did. I found a certain case about a certain detective.
Yes.
I didn't know if there were any similarities to that specifically.
No, his cases don't bleed over into anything involving children disappearing.
Okay.
What are your thoughts, Elizabeth?
I'm not really sure right now. Feel kind of like we're at a dead end or something. But the magic, they're similar magical things, but magic is magic. I mean, that doesn't mean the cases have anything to do with each other just because they're similar magic. Like, there's so many different types of magic, that spells that could be of that magic school.
Yeah, it's just, what's concerning me are people that are losing their senses. Like, it's very disturbing to see something sort of like what happened with Baru.
Have I been informed about? Like, I know that he passed, right?
You know, whoever the former party member they had had passed away.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a lot of people knew a lot about Baru, so.
What exactly did happen to him?
Yeah, the creature that was basically taking the children that we were dealing with, that we came across, used some magic to make Baru believe that he was its husband, like it was his wife. And even after we seemingly just, took care of the creature, his state of mind didn't really change, and apparently they couldn't figure out what was like deteriorating his mind. And I think they told us by the time they kind of had a handle on what it might have been, it was like too late to do anything about it. And
but they had such a beautiful wedding.
Does she have that thought like right now?
Yeah, that thought pops in your head like as you're talking about it. Yeah, so you would know that traditionally, if you eliminate most effects like dominate or suggestion or stuff like that are mind control-esque, usually the remnants become a lot more clear as to what's happening. Like, you don't retain the extra details. It would take something like a false memory spell or something along those lines to sort of implant that, and that has to be like very specific, and usually isn't done as part of a charm.
I'll relay that information as best I can.
Mm-hmm.
That's bizarre.
It was very unsettling to see someone that we thought, had a firm grasp on reality, just all of a sudden have this other memory, this whole other life that we knew was not true, but he bought into it, and I don't know.
Who did you speak to about this, and that said that once they realized what they thought it might have been, that it was
Maha
too
told
late?
us all this. It all
Did
came from Maha.
Did Maha explain to you what it was they thought it was?
I don't think so. I think she just said once they kind of had a handle on the affliction, it was too late. I don't think we got any more details than that.
I do know that the person they brought in to try and treat him also was like going crazy. I don't think they died.
No,
but...
that was the person, because remember we brought one of the mites back alive. That was the person that tried to like look into the mite's mind, because he was talking about the mother, and he was like, I'll show you.
So as they're discussing this, I think Antaeus is 32 would start to kind of piece a few things together. You've heard of a condition known as Fey Madness. There is a thing that happens when you like have been around Fae for a while, like you're a person born in natural society, and maybe you spent too much time in the Fae wilds, you start to, like, reality starts to kind of unwind and get kind of replaced with this, like, fantasy world where things aren't bound by the regular rules of reality. Because Fey magic can contort reality as long as there's enough of them to kind of maintain that contortion. Like, together they all manifest the reality that they feel and think. But again, like, it's very... Normally, to have... If somebody contracted Fey madness, there would normally have to be a Fey kind of around them at all times. The idea that he might have contracted some sort of, like, Fey madness that stuck around for this long, or that intensely, is a little bit, like, kind of bone chilling, because it would be like it would be like the idea of AIDS suddenly switching to being contractable via just breathing the same air as someone else,
sitting on their toilet seat.
Yeah.
I'll relay that.
No, I think this you need to relay in character as best you can. I want to hear how this comes out.
That sounds like Fey madness, but that would require somebody to essentially have spent a long time exposed to Fey magic, and then yeah, they would have to have spent a long time exposed to Fey magic, as if they were, like, around Fey for a great... Like, how long exactly? Like, years and years?
At least a few months. Somebody can contract, like, acute Fey madness with a couple of months of living with Fey. Normally, for it to be, like, you know, this long a period, it would have to be, like, years.
To have the effect on him that it... to
the point that it could have driven him to whatever it is that ended his life, yeah.
But if he were to have it, he would have had to have had it around him for years, and maybe not. Would it have maybe at least one of them, or just like? Oh no,
it would have had to have been multiple. Like, one would not be able to do this. And Brianna, you're starting to recall a lot of this as he's saying it.
Like a Fey colony of some kind. He'd have to have been in a society of them for a while.
Yep.
I mean, the creature, it felt like it was trying to do things to our memories to make us feel like we had been involved with the Fae for a long time. Could something, like, fuck with your mind well enough that it gives you the effects, like, makes you think that you've been around Fae for a long time, and then gives you, like, the actual... Because it was making us feel like we had witnessed things from their life together.
What she's talking about would be magic of, like, immense power. Magic that like even those who rule this country would likely, if they had access to, would wield it very carefully.
That sounds like almost like god level magic, like something that even the highest ranking officials would, if they did have access to it, would have to exercise the most care with, as to not that sounds like really high level magic that even like the high ranking officials of the country would have to wield carefully in order to make sure that it doesn't go awry, like something that anything lower than their status would be incomprehensible.
Did Brianna have a specific question with that 21?
Yes. Brianna was just sort of wondering, and she'd be wondering this aloud. I wonder if there's anything... Do you think there's anything that could, like, boost the power of Fey magic? You know, to the point that...
How long?
So with a 21 Arcana, the answer to that question is both a yes and a not easily. you're getting in a territory where, like, you can understand how these layers might work. But these are all, like, theoretical things now that you're into. Like, if a bunch of Fae happen to congregate around a particularly powerful point of ley lines intersecting into a ley nexus. Ley lines are kind of what breathe, that allow magic to sort of run through the world, and they're how arcane casters pull their spells from the earth. It is again possible that you could have this kind of effect, but to have it be externally contagious still doesn't fit anything you know. You feel like you're piecing some things together, but even with the knowledge that you have, even with the exceptional amount of knowledge that Antaeus was able to pull from, you still feel like pieces of this just are missing and are maybe just a few numerals out of reach.
How much do I know about Fae? Like, are they like? What I'm kind of getting at is, like, do Fae have the ability to, like, be invisible? Or
Fae can be invisible, but again, it's all magical. So, like, detecting magic would show you a lot of like what Fae are doing.
So it'd be unlikely that he'd be going around with Fae around him for that long without somebody noticing.
Somebody at some point would have noticed. Yeah, there's so many things around the town. Yeah, there's so many things around the town that detect for magic. I mean, knights are regularly, like, roaming around with their detectors, going in and out of ministry and other legal buildings. All require you to have to be scanned for certain things. And again, there was no magical residue whatsoever. But again, Fey madness doesn't leave a magical signature.
So here's a question, and I might have to go to the library and research this, but the place in the sewers where we were, is it near one of these leyline nexuses? You
would need maps to identify that, or you would need to go back to that location and try to do some investigation.
Okay.
How long did you guys know him, and do you know whereabouts he lived? Like, what part of the city?
To be honest, I mean, before this was our first case. Before that, we were just sort of lunch buddies. We ate lunch together. You know, we each had our own reasons for being in the ministry, and I'm sorry to say I didn't really know him that well. I mean, outside of casual acquaintances.
How do I word this? So, out of, like, the knowledge I have of the gremlins, right?
Mm-hmm.
I keep wanting to call them goblins. Are there any similarities to maybe them and because?
Well, I mean, keep in mind the stories are them blending Fae with other known creatures. You know, so there is linkage between the two, but it's that idea. You know, Fae are very powerful magical creatures that, like, are connected to magic itself. So they make this, like, really great creature to blend into this fantastical idea of creatures that exist outside of reality that manipulate the world around them.
Well, I didn't know if I'd be able to put any links between it maybe being a gremlin or something like that would not show up as, like, a magical creature.
It would depend. This goes back to the how much do you believe in gremlins and how much do you want to make gremlins the excuse for everything.
I mean, I'm fully willing to accept that as a possibility and as a reality too, but I don't want to, like, immediately just jump to conclusions on that. I didn't know if there were no fleeting factors.
There is no
what I do know.
Fact that says that what you would be theorizing there has any truth to it. In fact, there is only counterfact that says that what you are theorizing there is utter nonsense.
Well, given that they're not believed to exist anyways, I don't want to rule out the possibility that...
And that's fine. I'm leaving you the room to decide whether you wish to rule it out or not.
No, I mean, like, I'd be fully willing to be able to believe that that's a possibility. I just didn't know if there would be enough there to kind of put two and two together to make that conclusion.
That's up to you. This is kind of you being able to draw these because we are into the realm of theoreticals.
Well, I mean, as a player, I'm not as familiar with like Fae and Gremlins to know if there's enough reasonable links for me as a character to.
No, you're fine. You're making jumps that seem rational for your character.
Okay. Then I'll kind of point that out. I don't know if it would be, considering the only evidence would be to the contrary, but it could be linked to these gremlins and would explain why they don't show up with a magical signature. You said they don't show up with a magical signature,
Yeah,
right?
there's no arcane energy or no divine energy that's wrapped around them.
There's no arcane or divine energy.
For Cocoa Puffs to see them.
And that would possibly explain how they were exposed to them for so long, but I don't. And since you said that they had like the little glow around them of a frosty type glow, that it was affecting him in a physical manner, I wouldn't rule out the possibility that there is some link there, but I don't have any definitive evidence of that.
What about would the church have any records of things like that? Like,
Pretty sure
gremlins
the church, if you go to them and say you're seeing this shit, they're gonna lock you the fuck up.
It doesn't mean the church wouldn't have records of it. The church has, like the Catholic Church, has lots of records of exorcisms and other various like supernatural phenomena.
Just to see if there's any religious text that coincides with similar fairy tales, like of goblins.
I mean, people who've had with the 17, you only know some rudimentary stuff, but you know that people who have fey madness have been brought to churches with the hopes that the gods might be able to cure it. But it actually is not affected by removed disease or any sort of divine healing.
I didn't know if there were like specific gods that would be tied to that more so than others. But...
No, not implicitly.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be affected by removed disease or anything of that nature, which is concerning to say the least.
Maybe we can, do some research. I mean, I feel like we've kind of hit a dead end with this current investigation, but if they are indeed linked, then maybe this will also give us some idea with our current investigation, like what's going on.
It would seemingly fill in some of the gaps, but I don't want to jump to any conclusions, unfortunately. But there's not much in the way of information about these gremlins other than fairy tales for the most part, but it would explain some of the gaps in the information.
What do you think, Gulron?
Sounds like you guys are talking about fairy tales. I don't know anything about these, and I don't know how they are related to our prior case at all. Really?
I mean, you know what we saw in the sewers. I just feel like that, a second person in an unrelated case exhibiting the same symptoms, it's at least worth looking into.
Wait, same symptoms of what?
That's what I was telling you, is the second goblin that we interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
He was exhibiting some of the same symptoms as Baru.
Granted, they were a little different than Baru. It just seemed in the same realm of the kind of weird shit that was happening to Baru. Gave me the same vibes, but not like the exact same things, obviously.
Well, I wasn't there, so I'll take your word for it.
I just feel like, I mean, do you have any other ideas about the case? I would be welcome to explore all leads. I feel like that, perhaps these two things are related.
Feel like we need a solid round of good investigation rolls.
Well, you're not going to get a good investigation roll out of me.
Probably not me either, but we can hope.
Was there only one, or was there multiple of them around him?
There are multiple.
Multiple. I think I saw 3.
Were they just visible, or did they make any kind of noises?
Did I actually hear the shit they were
No.
saying? No. So I didn't hear anything, but it seemed like one was whispering in his ear, and like when it looked like it was whispering in his ear, he kind of reacted like he could hear it, maybe like he like jerked away, like he could maybe hear or feel something, but I didn't actually hear anything.
There's a knock at the door.
I go to answer it.
All right. Well, we're going to find out who's at the other side of the door in just a moment after a short break.
Dun, dun, dun.